So before we begin, before I share my slides, I first want to ask you, what do you think this course unit is about? I think it's new for both of us. What are your expectations? What are your expectations for this course unit? Should I pick on anyone to answer? Maybe Cotilda can tell us. Cotilda, what do you think this course unit is about? Cotilda, are you there? I have one hand raised. It is from Samsung something. People, are you there?
Yeah, yes, Madam.
Okay, so I'm just asking a simple question. It's not technical. What do you think this course unit is about? I'm not expecting an earth-shattering, just to understand what your thoughts are. What do you think this course unit is about?
Maybe I could try.
Please do.
Um, Literally, something that talks about systems. And, but apparently, you're actually prefixing it with information. So it's
Mhm.
information systems. It's something that is going to deal with maybe a fully working or robust system that
Mhm.
actually manages information in and out, maybe for
Mhm.
external use or maybe internal use in an organization, something like that. So
Okay.
it's something that a platform that is going to manage information.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Moses, for your thoughts. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else with some thoughts on this? Anyone else? Okay. In case there are no more thoughts on that. So far, as IT students, what modules have you covered? What course units have you covered? As IT students, what course units have you covered? I'm assuming I have IT. Do I have computer science here?
No, madam.
So it's only IT students, yeah?
And education.
And education, okay. So I just want to ask, what course units have you covered so far as IT professionals?
Mic check.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so for starters, literally, we've managed to cover a few course units in maybe programming.
Mm-hmm.
You could talk about maybe fundamentals of programming in
Mm-hmm.
different languages. Like let me say, people may have covered C++, some may have covered C Sharp, Python, and all that. But it's programming, and
Mm-hmm.
we've also managed to cover course units to deal with uh, systems analysis and
Mm-hmm.
design. We've
Mm-hmm.
also managed to cover course units that talk about UI, UX. We've also managed to cover course units to deal with cybersecurity and information security.
Mm-hmm.
We've also managed to cover course units to deal with a bit of mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
Some might have dealt with maybe computational mathematics, discrete mathematics,
Mm-hmm.
and others.
Okay.
We've also managed to cover very, very diverse things.
Yeah.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
networking, fundamentals in networking, Cisco as a course unit as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's good. So from what Moses has given me the list, we've really covered quite a bit, the technical side, the fundamental or the core course units which teach you the science or the mathematics behind IT. So it's quite a bit that you have covered. Now this time, when we were, I think it was this group which I taught research, and I think research was something else that was taking you in a different um, perspective. Yeah. So I should have started with a course outline, but because I'm also quite new to this, the course unit itself, I've not yet compiled that. But however, never the case, this is also kind of deviating you from what you've been doing before, like what Moses was saying. You've done something in programming, you've done something in the networking, you've done some core subjects, you've done research methods. I'm sure you've done something in ethics as well. But this one is quite different. It's giving you a different perspective. Not programming per se, not networking, but let's look at some of the technical terms. Let's look at some of the technical terms here, and we try to understand them clearly. Okay? We are looking at information systems project management. Okay? We're looking at information systems project management. So this we've heard about. We know what information systems are. But now we're talking about project management. Okay? Project management. Not the same thing, yeah? We are kind of deviating. We're still in IT, but we are in terms of subject matter, we're moving out. We're moving a little bit higher up the skill level, a little bit higher. We're becoming something else. Okay? As IT students, the department, the faculty just doesn't want you to have skills to develop systems and develop systems and design networks and implement networks, but also wants you to manage them. Okay, to make you managers, but not just of a department or something, but a project. Okay, a project. Now this word project for me, when I hear it, I remember, for me, this side, I'm also a farmer. So there are times when you have started something, let's say you, in the farming side, like on the farm, you'd say that, oh, why don't we, maybe you have tea, then you say, why don't we plant coffee? And that becomes a project. Or let's plant cocoa, that becomes a project. Okay. And once it's done, that's the thing, it's done. Now you start managing the business. In totality, you start to manage the business. So we want to understand, we want to introduce ourselves to the course. You need to understand it very well. And it's moving away. Moses was saying that probably we're looking at developing a system. Moses, we're kind of moving away from that. Yeah. We're now looking at project management in IT or in information systems. So what do we want to do? Let's first of all understand what it is we're trying to do. We're going to begin with definitions. Yeah. We're going to begin with definitions to understand the core of what we are looking at. Then we're going to analyze dynamic variable of project. Sorry, the cold air has entered my chest. To analyze the dynamic variables of project management. Identify the core competencies and professional responsibilities of an IT project manager. So here we are looking at you now as an IT project manager. We are not looking at you as a programmer, as a system, as a network designer and implementer. No, we're looking at you as a project manager. So you're moving up a little bit. You're getting a little bit slightly away from your techie, the techie, you know what we mean by the being considered the tech guy. Do we understand what that means? To be considered the tech guy or the tech lady. Do we know what that means? Do you understand what it means to be considered as the tech guy?
No, madam.
How many of you are in the working field right now? How many of you are working at the moment?
Madam, we are not working.
None of you is working. Davis says he's working. Davis, I saw your hand is raised.
Yes, madam. For me, I think tech guy or tech lady it would be a short form of something relating with a person who deals with technology related stuff.
Okay.
All IT related stuff.
Oh, thank you for that. I think that one is it's close to it. Normally, in a
Can you
workplace.
check?
Yes, please.
Doctor, maybe I would like to maybe drop my ideology about the tech guy or tech
Yes,
personality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, usually when someone says, or for example, if we have a team or a project, usually projects that are pitched to maybe NGOs or maybe other companies to maybe buy them or maybe fund them, they're usually teams. You may find a front end team, a back end team, and these are the tech people, and these are people developing the platform. They are tech guys. But then at the front face, they are usually people that actually pitch. They actually talk about the idea. They talk about the project. when I was still volunteering at some place, we had that team called the business team. They usually create the presentations, they go pitch ideas, they go to maybe look for funders. This is what they do, leaving out the tech people who sit down on their computers and develop the ideas to run on the platform. So
Yes.
ideally, tech guys, when you think about them, they're the people that hard code or code the platforms to look the way they are, but they
Yes.
don't actually go to the field and talk about the thing.
Yes. Yes, Moses. I think you've given us a good some good idea of what the tech guy is. If you're in a workplace, if somebody has a problem with their computer, let's say they are failing to print, a person needs an antivirus installed. There's a network. There is failure to access the network or stuff like that. They'll always call the IT guy, the tech guy, to come and solve that problem. Okay, that's the tech guy. That is the view. Many times in a working place, the view others have of IT. But however, there is more to IT than the person who comes and solves a problem. There's more to IT than the person who designs and hard codes. There's more to IT. There's also the management part. Okay? There's the management part. So at master's level, at Uganda Matters, there's a course unit we teach called ICT architecture. I think it's ICT architecture and management, something like that. I forget the full name. So this one is training IT professionals to move away from just being techies, but to be management, to move up to management level. The guys now who go forward to pitch ideas, and not just pitching ideas, but pitching them according to business goals, to align business to align a business, to align IT towards business goals, that you're really bringing it to the forefront to help a business make money. So that's what this course unit is moving you away, slightly away from the techie guy. Yeah? So the one thing we should understand is that we shall not be looking at coding here. Okay, this is not going to be that kind of course unit. Yeah, but it's going to have some practical elements in the sense of management, not in the sense of coding. Do you understand? Am I making any sense?
Yes, madam.
Okay. So I hope we do. So let's move on a bit. So we're going to look at differentiating between project life cycle and product life cycle. Okay, we're going to differentiate that because we're now looking at the project, not the product per se. So let us understand the core part of this. First things first, what is a project? Okay. First things first, it is something temporary. Remember, like I told you, when I'm here at the farm, sometimes I sit down with my manager and we say, let's plant, why don't we this season, we have a rainy season coming up, why don't we plant coffee? So we know we are going to plant it from this time and stop. Okay? You're not going to, it's not going to be continuous, because once you start planting in the dry season, you're simply wasting time. That plant is whatever you've planted is most likely not going to survive unless you have some heavy duty irrigation system. But other than that, it will not work. So a project is temporary. That's the first thing. It is temporary. It has a start time and an end time. And once the objective has been attained, we no longer need that project. Okay? So it has a start time and an end time. That's the first thing. So it is a temporary endeavor to create a unique product, service, or result. You are attempting to create a unique product, service, or result. So yes, it is still in the area of ICT or IT, but it is something temporary. So the key characteristics is that being temporary with defined beginning and a clear you have a clearly defined beginning and a clearly defined end. Then you deliver something distinct, something that wasn't there before. Okay, so for example, you may want to do a a CRM software system infrastructure upgrade. You may want to, maybe you want to implement a new customer relations management system, or you may want to do a system or infrastructure upgrade. So let us say you are part of an IT department, let's say of Uganda Matters University, and maybe for the Masaka campus, they want to put fiber cabling between all buildings at the Masaka campus. So you say, okay, that is a temporary thing. We want to start between this time and this time. We make a budget. We determine what we want to do and why we want to do it. We put timelines, we put requirements, specifications, blah blah blah. So at the end of it, we should have a deliverable. So we have finished. We've connected all buildings, and so therefore all buildings should be experiencing broadband internet access. Okay, all buildings at the Masaka campus. So that one is a very short-term thing. It's done and it ends. That is a project. Okay. Then it has progressive elaboration. That means it has a step-by-step process which is followed. So that means basically you have a plan which you start, you have the initial idea, then you plan, and then you implement, and so on and so forth. So there are clear steps you go through, detailed steps, which lead to something very specific. So normally we start with broad concepts, then we make detailed specific steps, and then we follow through with those steps. Okay? So now, a project is not the routine day-to-day operations or ongoing technical support help desk. You see, when I started by asking, who is the tech guy or the tech lady? That's the one who is carrying out the day-to-day operations. Okay. You have a server maintenance. You go ahead and do that. You need to do workstation maintenance. You go ahead and do that. You've been called at a particular station. They have a network breakdown. You go ahead and sort it out. You have this individual who is not printing. Those are day-to-day operations. So that is not a project. Okay? That is not a project. Do we have any questions so far? Any question? Okay, if no, let's move on. So what specifically is project management? Okay. So here you'll be applying certain knowledge and skills and using certain tools to project activities to meet the project requirements. So here you'll now sit down and do brainstorming as a team. You say, this is what we want to do. So this is our overall goal. This is the overall idea. So take an example, if you go back to the example of providing broadband to all buildings at the Masaka campus. So your general concept is providing broadband. So what is the project? Installing fiber cabling between all buildings at the campus. So from there, you say, okay, what do we need to do that? First things first, we need a team. 2, we need funding. 3, two, we need a budget. 3, we need funding. 4, we need to carry out procurement. 5, you set up activities, and each activity you give it a timeline. This will be the first. This can be done concurrently with this one. This will be the monitoring and evaluation, so on and so forth. Okay. So that is what you're doing, and in this process, you're using your management skills. You're using your knowledge in IT. Then you go ahead and use certain tools and techniques to plan out these activities and so on and so forth. Why does it matter in IT to really learn project management? Why is it important? Because technology is constantly changing. I think for us, IT, this is something that is not new. We're always getting something new coming up. You're setting up this thing, then they say, there is this new thing, and you have barely used the last one. So project management allows us to effectively use, not to miss out on what is necessary. So you're effectively planning to implement a new technology so that it is effectively used and before it becomes obsolete. So that is one, we want to do that. 2, there are usually high failure rates because we have failed to plan properly. Okay? And that's what project management is doing for us. It helps us to plan and then implement our plan effectively. Okay? Then the final and lasting most important thing is value proposition. Now for IT, why this course unit is also important. For us as IT, we tend to sometimes over-glorify our techie skills. Oh, I solved this. I managed to do system maintenance. Now the servers are working at top-notch speeds. I've managed to install this software which everyone else had failed. I've managed to do it. I've managed to code this system which can do A, B, C, D. But we fail to see the business side of things. We fail to see the business side of things and where we can really add value as IT. So project management is allowing us to meet the business objectives. Having these short-term projects that sometimes have been brought on by management themselves, not even by IT, that we want to bring realization, business value realization. Yeah? That we organize ourselves very well and put something there that will work for the business. The triple constraint. Okay? Any project is going to work on these 3 constraints that you see here. Scope. Sometimes in research, we talk about scope. What would be the scope of your research? That's the same thing here. We also want to say, in this project, what futures or what deliverables are we expecting for this organization? What is it that management or the business want? What is it they want? What do the users want? That we ensure that our project, whatever it is we are going to design and implement, whatever we want to implement, meets the needs of the users. 2, time. How long will it take? Costs. What is the approved budget, labor, hardware? Now, the bigger the scope, the more the time, which leads to a higher cost, an increase in cost. Now, one of the things you need to understand that any business wants to make profit at the lowest possible cost. Not so. Any business wants to make profit at the lowest possible cost. That's one. But however, there are also other things that must be taken into consideration. You don't want to undermine costs at the expense of, for example, of security. Yeah, you don't want to incur higher costs in the risks that you may take. Okay. So in project management, there must be a balancing act. So for you as in project management, you must understand, what does top management want? You don't want to bring an overly expensive project to the organization. Why? Because management, like I said, is always thinking about cutting costs. But then also in terms of scope, you don't want to undercut the user by completely taking them out of the scope of the things that are actually needed, the functionality that is actually needed. So it's a balancing act. So who is the client? The client is management. And you, as the project manager, must be listening to management and the users. Later on, we shall talk about stakeholders. That is key. Do we have a question so far? Any question? Do we have any question? Okay, if none, let's continue. Now, the modern project management expands the triple constraint into a diamond. That means at any given time, you have something like what looks like this, where you have time, scope, time, and budget. So where you have something pulling in different directions. Now, the issue is you want to provide a quality. You want to meet the defined requirements and fitness for use. You want something that is bug-free and acceptable system uptime. Then you want to be cutting time or cost often degrades. So most, like we said, if you try to overcut costs, you may compromise quality. Then there's also the subject of risk. Uncertain events that can positively or negatively impact the project. For example, a vendor going bankrupt, or critical API deprecating. Now, one of the you see, I'm using things like a vendor going bankrupt. This cost unit is not about you developing a system. It's about you managing a project, which may include implementing a new system, doing a system upgrade, but it's not about you displaying your techie skills. So far, am I clear? You see, now I'm talking about things like cost, time, scope, but I'm not talking about your ability to program. It's about your ability to manage. So far, am I making sense? Have you understood that point?
Yes, madam.
Okay, I hope so. So success is not about finishing on time and the budget, but it's about delivering an operational, low-risk system that users will adopt. Okay. So what is the role of the IT project manager, which is you? So you are the accounting officer. You are the one who is responsible for the success or failure of the project. So management is key. You are the one who bridges the gap between the technical team, the developers, network engineers, and the business stakeholders. Now, this is key. This is one of the key things I was trying to bring out about what this course unit is about. We are slightly moving you away from you being the programmer, the network administrator. We are moving you up away from that. You're now the manager. We're giving you some management skills, okay? So you are now managing this IT department, and you want to align expectations with the stakeholders, the executives, top management, maybe even board. In another case, it may be a client. The ones who have asked for this project, for this upgrade. So you're the one bridging that gap. It could be you as the project manager, you may be the head of department of IT operations, and top management has requested that a new customer relations management system is set up. Okay? And it doesn't necessitate you actually developing one, but it necessitates you coming up with features. What does management and the customer care department and customers, what are they expecting? So that is you trying to pick out the futures, system requirements. Then you go out and shop for vendors, those who have developed systems. Then you identify them. Then you start you start the process of how do we implement it. You draw out a plan and you say you need this, and this. You draw up a budget, you build out timelines, and then you go ahead and start the implementation process. Okay? So it's not you who is developing it. You're now bringing this need that top management and users, or maybe of the customer care department and your client and the company customers, something they've asked for. You're bringing it to fruition. Okay? So these are the two primary roles of the project manager. The third, what does the manager in this mandate do? The first is you as project manager, and together with your team, you set up clear project objectives. Clear project objectives. Just as I was narrating, I was kind of setting out objectives, what is required. You secure resources, the funding, and not just the funding, but other things. You may need certain individuals. You coordinate the technical tasks. You remove roadblocks. If there's anything that is hampering you, that maybe you need to raise awareness to management. Maybe they have too high expectations. The users, maybe if they are scared or something. So you remove any of those any impediments that may cause a problem to the project. Yeah. So what are the responsibilities of the IT project manager? First things first, planning. Yeah? Planning. You realistically, you look at what is necessary, what is exaggerated. You you make sure that you plan together with everyone, not just the IT team, but top management and end users. You create realistic schedules, budgets, and operational baselines. So after planning, once the planning has been approved, you execute. So by execution, you start with your team to hit the milestones. So if it is now collecting requirements, you go to the users, you go to management, you go to vendors, and so on and so forth. If the next step is now identifying the particular system that you'll implement, you go ahead and carry out that identification and selection. If the next step is now implementation, you make sure the infrastructure is ready. You make sure that the team that is supposed to implement is ready. That means if there's training that is necessary, you carry out training. Then if there's migration of data from old to new system, you go ahead and do that. If there's testing, you do that. And each milestone, so that is you doing the execution. So during execution and after, you carry out what is called monitoring. So monitoring is to make sure that you're hitting the milestones, but not just hitting the milestones, but you're moving towards achieving the objectives. If it was a new customer relations management system, it is finding out along the way, you find out technically, are all the features working, are all the features acceptable to the user, both one end and the other end, are they giving us the necessary results, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Communication, though communication is ongoing, there's communication at the beginning, during, and after. So this is communicating to all stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Top management, the users, the vendors, and so on, the vendors of the system, and so on and so forth. So this, you're constantly keeping everyone in the loop, what is happening, so that you manage expectations. Okay. The fifth responsibility is risk mitigation. Yeah. Here I want to throw this to the class. What risks do you think could happen if a new system is being set up? What risks could possibly happen? Let's try and brainstorm. What risks do you think might happen?
I check, madam.
Yes, please.
But I suggest maybe we could maybe look at maybe using an example of a new system, like let me say, this the student portal, or usually someone can take it to like results management system. For example, if the institution is trying to maybe create a new system, there are very many risks that actually may rise up maybe in that case. One of them may be like losing data. You could literally find that there are very many records set or uh, kept in a backup on the ZVAST system. But then, if you're creating a new one, you may fail to maybe if someone is holding the data very well and they're dealing or coordinating the groups very well, they'll need to think about the migration bit of it. But if they don't do it, then they'll end up losing the data.
Yeah.
So data loss is one of them.
Yes.
You could think about maybe security threats. For example, you may find like ZVAST is literally having maybe a bit of security privileges and few things set aside to maybe make sure the system is up and running with top security. So if you're setting up a new system, you may lack a bit of those channels. Okay. Then another thing, like for example, the example I'm using, ZVAST, you may literally find that it is a platform that actually has a number of things. You literally find it's dealing with the finances. They're there together. You literally see that the results are there together. It's one platform, but it's holding, or it is integrated with many other, or it is co-holding or hosting other systems. So if you're developing that one system or a new system, you may literally find out that you may fail to integrate these other systems to work the same way like the existing system does. Additionally, you may even fail to bring up the human resources that you would like to use in that kind of direction. People that would like, for example, when you literally see the Zivast, it is dealing with the finances. So it means, for example, you have an API that maybe Centenary Bank is willing to provide you with to maybe integrate finances onto your system. So in some ways, if you're starting a new system, you may get these as backlogs in your way to developing this new system.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Thank you, Moses. I think Moses has given us some good ideas of risks that can happen when a new project like this is happening, like a new system is being implemented. So your job now is to mitigate these risks, and it's all part of management, not the techie side, but the management side. So we have what we call the skill metrics, the project management talent triangle. So here, the project management requires knowledge of life cycles. Yeah. So we need to have knowledge of methodologies like agile, waterfall, and so on and so forth. We do know some of these project development system methodologies. We know them, not so? These are not new to us. Do we know this? We know what the waterfall method, agile, we've heard of them. Are they new to us? Hello?
They are not new.
They are not new. Okay, that's good. Then you have the tracking tools like Jira, MS Project. We shall try them out if you haven't used them, but we shall try them out. 2 is leadership. Yeah, so this is, I remember, like I said, this is not about your techie skills now. This is now raising you a little bit higher above you being just a techie, but your ability to lead. Yeah, ability to lead a team. Then strategic and business management. We are again moving slightly away from the techie side. We want to look at things now from a strategic point of view. When we use the word strategic, do we know what that means? Do we know what the term can somebody just Google it and let me know what you see when you see the definition? What do you think of the word strategy?
A strategy is a planned approach used to achieve a specific project objective successfully.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Now, when you think about it, what comes to mind? When you hear that, what comes to mind? For anyone, just anyone, let me know. What do you think about when you hear that definition? Something planned to achieve a goal.
For me, a strategy might mean to identify maybe, for example, a technical risk early. Yeah, and test. Yes, maybe also testing the system regularly. I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Davis. Any other thoughts from anyone else?
Outline?
Yes, Moses?
Yeah, so when I get to hear strategy in a nutshell, it's just literally these are it could be policies or guidelines. Maybe the team puts aside and they actually think about. For example, if we think about we term it in the previous thing we were talking about the risks. So we set policies, we set guidelines of what happens if maybe someone hacks a system. So we put down these strategies. For example, I would say, for example, if we have a database running and it is hacked, we may set goals that if something happens like this, the tech team, probably the first person to talk about this will be the tech guy, and he will tell us what happened and what is the way forward. If it is bad, we kind of we quarantine that, then we remove that server, and then we keep running. So more so, it's like we set things that, for example, we can plan, and if something happens, we still keep running. We don't just hold back because maybe something bad has happened. So for me, strategies are things, could be policies, could be guidelines, could be things forethought about
Yes.
that a team can actually bring forth during their discussions, during their maybe plannings, and they are set for us to actually follow if something happens.
Yes, thank you. I think we're getting close. We're getting close to what strategy means. Thank you for that, Moses. So if you look at the word, it says a careful long-term plan or method. Long-term plan or method. Yeah? Let's think about this way. Let's move out of IT. Let's come into the real world. Let us say there is a young man that has the strategic objective of getting married. Yeah? This young man says, I have reached of age. Maybe I've finished school. I am working. I should really think about getting married. So what plan is that? What method will I adopt to hit that strategic objective? What is that long-term plan I will make to achieve marriage? Okay? So this young man will say, okay, for me to get married, it means I must look for a young lady who is within my age group, but who has a specific background and of a specific character. I want a specific character. Maybe I want somebody who is God-fearing. That means I will look for someone maybe in the church or in the mosque, either within that religious community, wherever my religious leanings may be. I want her to be of a certain background, come from a family. Because there are certain people who may not belong to a family. For example, some people may grow up from the streets. So how do I handle that? So part of my methodology is to look for someone within a certain community, from church, if I want from a specific community, I'll say, maybe I want from my village, where I can easily. So what I'm doing there, I'm planning with the end game of attaining, the young man would be the one planning, with the end game of getting married. Now, we also have businesses. You as IT professionals, you're going to work within a certain business setting. Okay? You're going to work within a certain business setting. And this business has an objective it must meet. primarily to make money, to run efficiently. So, for you as IT, your job is also to do strategic alignment. So you need to know that project that I'm setting up, maybe it's a new software or a system that is being built to align with the organization's financial and market goals. So that is why when we are looking at what are the futures of this system, am I just setting up a system? Are we just looking at implementing a new system? But what are the futures, the scope? What time will it take? Is it going to take 2 years, and by the time the 2 years are done, the system is obsolete, there's no one to support it, and it has failed to provide any help for the organization? That project should be cancelled. Is it going to be so expensive that the organization becomes bankrupt by the end of the implementation? That project should be. So these are the skills that in the talent that is expected for the project manager or the project management team. You must have this knowledge of life cycles, the methodologies of setting up these systems. You should have leadership skills, and you should have a knowledge of strategic and business management. That you are doing this for the sake of the organization, making full and proper use of this project to hit its objective of profit. Do we have any questions so far? Do we have any questions so far? If no, let's move on. Project life cycle. What is the project life cycle? So we've been talking, giving examples of these projects, what these possible projects could be. The very idea that from the time you have the idea and you begin to, it comes into inception, it begins to develop. The project, as it develops a life, has phases. It has phases with which it goes through before it comes to its natural end. The very first stage is the initiation, where the project is defined. The project is being defined. What is it going to be? What will the futures be? What will it cost? And then at the end of it all, of what use will it be to the organization? What management, what the organization puts in terms of cost, will there be a benefit at the end? Take an example, if UMU was to look at from the time they implemented Zivasti, what is the viability of this project? Can the university say there is value for money? The cost it took for UMU to go on Google Apps for education, did UMU get its value for money? The cost it has taken for the university to set up, when they set up Moodle, is there value for money? So that is the initial stages before you set it up. So in this stage, you as a project manager, you're going through all these questions. Will this be a viable project that at the end, when we've set it up, the company, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years from now, will say, this was a viable project. Okay? This was a viable project. So by the time you're going through this project of defining the viability, your intention is to gain approval, getting the project charter. That's the first stage. The second is planning, mapping out execution strategies. You're saying from this time to this time, we're going to do this. From this time to this time, we're going to do this. While we're going to do this, we're going to talk to management, we're going to talk to the users or the stakeholders. When we're going to this stage, we must ensure we have secured the funds. So that is planning. The third stage is the execution. actually starting the project. So you're building the IT asset while tracking progress. So during execution, you have monitoring and control, mitigating risks. You're monitoring to see where are we getting right, what are we getting wrong according to our plan, what changes do we need to make, what controls do we have to do. Do we need to first go back to the stakeholders and revisit and talk about certain things? We need to go back to the vendors. Are they being slow on something? That is the control part. The last one is closure. Closure is everything is now done, and you're now handing over the system to whoever is going to do system administration. Okay? You're documenting lessons learned and releasing resources. Those are the 4 stages of a project life cycle. Not the same as product life cycle. Okay? Product life cycle is different. So the product life cycle, we're looking at the entire lifespan. So take an example. We have Moodle that has been set up. So Moodle we're looking at from the time it has been set up and it's operational to the time when it's absolute, when it's no longer necessary. So that's not the same as project life cycle. Here in project life cycle, we're looking at, you have the idea of the project, you plan for it, you execute, then you hand it over to the users and the system administrator, that who's going to deal with the day-to-day operations. So for you as project manager, this is your area of interest, not this. Are we clear on that?
Yes, madam, we are clear.
Sorry? Sorry, I've not heard you clearly.
Madam, it's clear.
Okay, okay.
It's fine.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas. So in the product life cycle, the phases are conception, the growth, maturity, decline, and retirement. Yeah. So this is product life cycle. So in summary, key takeaways that projects are unique and temporary, while operations are continuous. So the project is not the same as operations. So we have triple constraints, the things that dictate quality and risk, that is scope, time, and cost. So then the third is the IT manager, the IT project manager, are hybrid professionals. They're required to have technical expertise, the IT skills, business acumen, and strong soft skills, that is management skills. You're able to communicate to people, you're able to resolve conflict, and so on and so forth. So we're, like I said, we are moving you from, you're not just now a techie. You're not just now a techie. You're moving a bit further up. Okay? The difference between product life cycle and product and the project life cycle. One is short term, the other one is long term. Okay? So that ends our first set of the introduction. I want to continue to the next one, which is strategic alignment and project selection. Should we continue, or is it okay if we continue? I may be wanting to us to continue and you're tired. Should we continue? Is it okay?
Yes, madam, it is okay.
Okay, so let's look at strategic alignment and project selection. Choosing the right IT projects for business value. Remember what we said, we are introducing a new thing. Okay, so we want to ensure that what we are introducing is adding value to the business. So here, we want to explain the importance of aligning IT projects with corporate strategy, the overall business objective. So IT projects using financial selection methods, NPV, ROI, payback, we're going to look at some of those. Apply 9 financial evaluation techniques. Sometimes when we're trying to select a project, we just look at the financial side, but there are other things that are important. For example, you may want to understand the security that comes with a particular system. You may want to understand the support that may come with a system. The longevity of the vendor in the market. We want to be able to draft a comprehensive project charter. Then finally, analyze project stakeholders and determine their influence. Stakeholders are those people who will make or break your system, your project. IT business alignment gap, the problem. First thing, we need to understand what is the problem. Sometimes as IT people, we are more concerned with functionality than finding out what exactly is the problem. What exactly is the problem that the business is facing? Not your IT, but the business. So here we are saying that they are saying that most IT projects fail not because the code is bad, but because they build systems that the business does not need. So what is the business need? What is the business need? So this needs to be clearly defined by the IT project management. You need to have understood that. So then, in understanding this, what is the business need, you're beginning to align the IT initiative with the corporate goals. Maybe the corporate goal is increasing market share. Let me give you an example. This is something that actually happened. It happened and it happens, especially with NSSF. Yeah, we all know what NSSF is, eh? The National Social Security Fund. We all know it, not so? Do we know NSSF?
Yes, madam, you know it.
Yes. NSSF is one of those organizations that is very forward thinking. Okay. I remember when I think it was during lockdown or something, when a new law was passed allowing anyone who was above 45 years to access 25% of their NSSF savings. And I remember when I wanted to access, because I'd hit that mark already by the time of lockdown, when I was trying to access it. And I remember someone told me that, yeah, just go online. And I thought it was going to be some long bureaucratic process. And actually, they actually have an online solution where you go in, you simply enter your national ID details, your bank account, so on and so forth. And within 3 weeks, I received my money. 3 weeks. Yeah. Now, I learned that when the organization itself, that is NSSF, when they are setting up their corporate strategy, overall organizational strategy, they define the overall goals that the organization wants to do. For example, let's say they've designed one goal is to quickly and efficiently deliver NSSF claims by its clients. Then they will come to ICT and say, ICT, how can you help us achieve this goal? IT department, how can you help us achieve this goal? Now, this is what we're introducing to you. when we talk about project management. This is the idea, the thinking, the thinking we're introducing to you. So say an organization says we want to increase our market share. We want to increase our market share. Do you know what that means in terms of business? Does anyone understand what that statement means? If an organization, let's imagine a hypothetical organization says we want to increase our market share. Do we understand what that means? If top management came and told you we want to increase our market share, what does that mean? Hello, we need to understand some of these terms because we are now not just techies anymore. Remember some of the things we pointed out earlier here? The IT project manager is a hybrid. You are a technical expert, but you have a business acumen and strong soft skills. So if you had this term from top management saying we want to increase our market share, what would that mean? What is management trying to tell you?
Madam, for me, I think
Yes, please.
increasing the market share would mean like increasing the percentage of sales in the market of a particular company.
Yes. Let us say, if Umu says we want to increase our market share, we want to increase the number of students. That means from all the schools of Uganda and the East African area and beyond that are releasing students who are going to enter university. We want to be able to penetrate those to get to pull more and more students to us. If it is MTN in Uganda, say we want to increase our market share, they want to get more customers on board, so on and so forth. So if an organization came to you and said that you're the IT manager, if we want to increase our market share, how are you helping us as IT? So at this point, you're no longer thinking in terms of coding. You're thinking what solution can help management. It's not now coding. What solution can help the sales team? That's what you're thinking. If they say we want to cut operational costs, So now you're thinking of what solution can be implemented to help cut operational costs. So the project manager's role is to understand why behind the technical how. Why behind the technical how. So IT projects, what can they be? They could be venture or growth. So it could be systems built to drive new revenue streams. So take an example. You may, if it's a restaurant that is set up somewhere, you may say maybe the restaurant now wants to have orders, delivery. Then you may think about an app that can enable this restaurant customers order meals rather than coming physically to the restaurant. That's a new venture stream. Core maintenance. upgrades to keep the business running efficiently. Maybe it's infrastructure upgrade. Like we said, maybe at Masaka campus, we are thinking of improving connectivity between buildings so we can increase online learning classes, efficiency of online learning. That's an upgrade. Then there are upgrades that keep business running efficiently. Then you have compliance. Sorry, this may be a repeat. Sorry, this is a repeat. Then there's compliance mandatory. There are certain things that come. For example, there's the new URS system. I don't know what it is called for businesses, where people, I think, put their tax returns and so on and so forth. That's a non-negotiable project. There may be new security standards that may be that are being implemented. Okay, so any of these. Now, when these projects are being set before us, you'll have several proposals being set up for you by vendors. So as they are being set up for you, there are certain financial selection methods. So you look at net present value. So here the concept is you calculate the expected net monetary gain. To take an example, when Zivasti came, they must have presented to management a net monetary gain that if you set up this system, previously you've been making losses of up to this amount, but we're now recutting this by maybe 90%. That's a monetary gain. You've been experiencing fraud of up to 50%. We're cutting this now to 5%. That's a monetary gain. So this is the first concept. Then the rule: always choose projects with a positive NPV. So you have several projects, you have several vendors who will be presenting something to you, a solution. Then you'll be making comparisons. Choose the one with the highest NPV. I'll give you an example. When I was head ICT, when I had just become head ICT in 2016, the university experienced a serious technical break with our mail system. So at that time, students' emails were on Google Apps for Education, but not for staff. And the mail server at the university crashed, and that system was down for almost 2 weeks. So as head ICT, I needed to present a solution. So I listened to both sides. There were camps which were advocating for the university hosting its own emails. Then there was a camp which was advocating for, no, let's all migrate to Google Apps for Education. So I did my due diligence. I collected information on all sides and the cost implication on both sides. And I presented to management. And of course, automatically management picked the cheapest version, which was Google Apps, which was going to cost us zero. Yeah. So that was the net present value. Yeah. Choosing the one with the highest net present value. Then you have the principal formula. Money received today is worth more than money received 3 years from now due to inflation and opportunity costs. So you don't just look at the money that you may receive in future, but even at the present time, what are we going to save now? Financial selection. You have return on investment, ROI, then you have payback period. So return on investment, take an example. I planted coffee last season and this season. There's a cost implication that went. I had to buy seedlings. I went into the cost of preparing the ground, planting, so on and so forth, that labor cost. Then I am going to have to do maintenance costs. In case I experience a certain dry season, very harsh dry season, I should be able to irrigate. I should be able to carry out weeding. All those are costs. Then I should be able to apply fertilizer. Then also the other things like weed management, the other things like controlling pesticides, and so on and so forth. Those are costs. Now, the question is, when it's time for harvesting, will there be a return on investment? Will I be able to cover all the costs that I've put in, all the monies that I've put in, then make profit? I have to put in the risks, consider the risks that come with coffee farming. Take an example, with farming in general, there are times prices go down. For example, maize farming. Today the prices are high, tomorrow they are low. With cash crops like tea, coffee, cocoa, and so on and so forth, there are times when prices are high, there are times prices are low. Take an example, the tea sector has been in a crisis since 2023, where we've had extremely low prices. Right now, coffee prices are high, but someone was saying in 2 years' time, the same thing will happen. Prices will come crashing down. So the return on investments, remember here we talked about the inflation, inflation and opportunity costs. Yeah, those are things you consider. So return on investments, the total benefits plus minus the total costs. Am I going to get a profit? The payback period, for how long will I have these return on investments? Remember, like the coffee example I've given, I may have good prices in the next 2 years, but not after that. What will happen after that? So the payback period. The non-financial selection, weighted scoring models, why it matters. Financials don't tell the whole story. It's not just about. Some projects are picked because of brand reputation. Take an example. As IT professionals, have you heard of the brands Huawei and Cisco? Have you heard of those brands? Is it Huawei? I don't know how to pronounce it. Wow, I think it's Huawei. How is it pronounced? Sometimes I get confused.
And are you trying to mean Hawaii?
Yes.
Okay.
And Cisco. Have you heard of those two brands? As IT professionals in the making, you should know something about this.
Yeah, I've ever heard about them.
Yeah, so, madam, the
Yes.
two literally provide networking technologies, could be from way back from the manufacturing bit of it. They provide switches, routers, all those things, and they literally go on to provide and program their interfaces of how you could connect to a switch using a Huawei maybe switch. They actually go on and do that. Recently, just to highlight the team, Uganda Matters was third in the Huawei competitions in the globe usually. So these are things set to make sure people learn these technologies. They know like why Huawei has this, it has this. Then you go on and utilize the.
Yes. Thank you so much. I think has he fallen offline? But I think he has given us a good background to that brand. Did you one time know there was a Cisco Academy and it is still there? Have you heard of the Cisco Academy?
Yeah. Usually, like I was saying, like I've talked before, they both provide these things. Like Cisco Academy, if people have taken the Cisco course unit taught by Mr. Duncan, you actually log onto your Cisco Academy platform. They give you a platform to actually be able to maybe navigate and use the tools navigate, and you learn the Cisco packet tracers. Like they give you these things. So the same Huawei does it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they are brands that they are competing brands. So at one time, Cisco was what was known. Then Huawei comes in and is trying to get that market share of Cisco. So for example, now Huawei has come in giving access to the academy and literally at a free of charge case. And you find now for most universities, especially in Africa, they're leaning more towards Huawei because it is free now. It's giving the same professional training at zero cost. And of course, now with all these incentives, there are competitions going to China and so on and so forth. They are really good incentives. But there are, however, talks about the quality Huawei gives. On the technical side, they usually say Huawei is sometimes buggy. That means it has quite a bit of bugs in their programming side of things. So that affects their quality. But however, they have come in to save, especially the developing countries, that to gain these skills from Cisco, which is considered now a bit too expensive. So, like for example, Uganda Matters University one time had the Cisco Academy, but after a certain time, they couldn't afford it. That's why Huawei came in. So these are brand issues. So there are situations where someone may choose Cisco over Huawei simply because of quality of service. Things like security and safety. These are things that may be considered over the financials. Yeah, certain things to consider. But then again, also other things we point out, like what's the financial standing of your organization. Then the tool, a matrix that evaluates the projects against weighted criteria. Yeah. Process, you identify key criteria like security, risk, user experience, developer availability, assign weights to each criteria, score each project, multiply by weights, and calculate the total. Yeah. Project charter. Should we continue, or we continue this next time we meet? Should we continue? Are we tired?
Next time.
Pardon?
We'll continue next time.
Okay.
Next time.
Because this may get a bit detailed. And at the end, I would like to give you an assignment. So I wouldn't want to overload you on our first day. So far, that is project management. Do we have any question? Any thoughts, any worries, concerns? No, we are okay?